Hello everybody and welcome back to the Monastery. Today we'll be going over class comparisons to tackle why you would want to use one class over the other. This series is meant for new players to D&D who might want to try something that they've seen in video games or a character that they think is liking video games and build a character around that. We'll be taking a look at Monk and Fighter today, and in all of these comparisons we'll be using the standard array and bonus units. So to start off with, if you want to build an optimal fighter, then you typically want to have strength as their highest stat, and then some other stat. We'll stick with constitution for the purposes of this video, since strength determines their weapons, how much damage they do, and how well they hit with said weapons, and constitution helps determine their health. For monks, they want to use dexterity and wisdom, because both of those stats help with damage and their armor class, which is to help prevent them from taking damage. So, starting with the basic configurations, the hit die for a fighter is a d10, and for a monk it's a d8. So fighters in almost every instance are going to have more health than a monk, and they're going to be able to pretty much be a better tank. For weapons, fighters can use any weapon in the game. They can just pick it up, they're proficient with it, they can use it right from the get-go. Whereas monks use simple weapons, specified martial weapons, or their fists, which are pretty much all classified as monk weapons. For their armor, fighters can wear any armor in the game, which, if you do a specific build, puts their armor class at max at 21, maybe 22, if you get special magical armor. Whereas monks don't wear armor at all, and their max armor class gets to 20 because of their unarmored defense, which they get at a first level feature and builds their armor class off of their dexterity and wisdom. Finally, we'll take a look at their saving throws, where fighters have strength saving throws and constitution saving throws, and monks have dexterity and strength saving throws. So, for saving throws, every class has a weak saving throw and a strong saving throw. Weak saving throws are saving throws you won't see very often, they're very specific, and strong saving throws you'll see a lot or more often than not. So for fighter and monk, their weak saving throw is strength, which you really only see when people try to grapple you, if you're getting tangled, or if you're trying to break out of some kind of binding, really. But you can also use dexterity to try to break out of binding, which is a better saving throw for monks. And the strong saving throw for fighters is the constitution saving throw to help them with spells like shatter, or if they're being poisoned to help resist that damage. Whereas monks use dexterity saving throws, which helps with spells like fireball and avoiding traps. So from here on out, we'll be going level by level and explaining the class features that each class gets. We'll be doing it in the order, starting with fighter, then going to monk, and we'll just go over each class ability of that level and then switch over. So at this level, fighters get a fighting style, which helps to make each fighter unique, which the options are archery, which gives a +2 bonus damage to range attacks, defense, which gives you 1 extra armor class if you're wearing armor, dueling, which gives you a +2 bonus to a single-handed melee weapon as long as you're not wielding a second weapon, great weapon fighting, which lets you reroll 1 and 2s on two-handed melee weapons, protection, which gives you advantage to an enemy attack if they're attacking somebody else other than you within 5 feet of you. So if let's say there's somebody who's attacking your ally who's right next to you, and somebody's shooting an arrow at them, you can use protection to have them reroll 2d20 and take the lower roll, which could help them miss, or basically for flavor text, it breaks on your shield. And finally, they have the 2-weapon fighting style, which pretty much lets you add your ability modifier to your second attack if you use your bonus action to attack. So normally when you use your bonus action to attack, if you're going to try to hit, or if you're trying to do damage, you don't get to add your ability modifier, which for fighter is strength. So if you do manage to hit them with your bonus action, you're just doing the base weapon damage. But if you have two weapons fighting for both attacks, then you get to add your strength modifier. Fighters also gain the use of Second Wind at first level, which allows you to heal 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per rest. So you can regain this on a short rest or a long rest. Monks, on the other hand, at first level get Unarmored Defense, which, as I said earlier, is the reason why they don't wear armor. It basically makes their armor class equal to 10 plus their dexterity modifier plus their wisdom modifier. For the monk we see here, that would make their armor class 15 at first level. And it increases as you gain levels in the class and as you get to increase your stats higher. Monks also gain the use of martial arts, which basically means as long as they're using a monk weapon, which is a one-handed weapon that's not heavy, they can use dexterity instead of strength for their attack rolls, which is why you typically want to focus on dexterity because it helps with your armor class and your damage. Their unarmed attacks do 1d4 damage instead of 1 damage and increases as they gain levels, eventually to a d6 and a d8 to a maximum of a d10. So if a fighter and a monk are doing unarmed attacks, the monk has a chance to do more damage than the fighter. And the final thing that they get with martial arts is that as a bonus action, they can make an unarmed attack as a regular attack. So like the fighter with their two weapon fighting, the monk can get their ability damage on their bonus action attack. As opposed to just doing a d4, they get a d4 plus 3 in this monk's case, which again increases later on. So starting at second level, fighters gain the ability of Action Surge. It's an ability that lets them, pretty much for free, get a second action on their turn, and they can use this once between rests, so this also includes short and long rests. And at 17th level, they can use this twice per rest instead of once per rest. But basically, it can let you take another attack on your turn, it can let you dash on your turn, it can let you disengage, it can let you dodge, but you can pretty much only use this once per rest. Monks at this level get two abilities. They get Unarmored Movement, which means that they get an extra 10 feet of movement for not wearing armor. And this also increases as they level up to a maximum of 30 feet of movement. And at level 9, they can run along walls and water as long as they're still moving. Monks also get access to Ki at this level, which gives them more options in combat and outside of combat. You have an amount of Ki points equal to your monk level, so if you decide to multi-class, then you're still not going to gain extra Ki for the other class. And pretty much you're going to get a max of 20 Ki because that's the maximum level. So for 1 Ki points, the monks get access to one of these three abilities. They can use Flurry of Blows, which instead of one martial arts attack as a bonus action, they can make 2 martial arts attacks, which lets them make 3 attacks per turn at this level. Patient Defense, which lets you take the dodge action, which gives your enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against you, and you can gain advantage on dexterity saving throws. So if somebody's trying to hit you with a fireball and you have Patient Defense on, you roll twice and take the higher of the 2 rolls. Or they can do Step of the Wind, which is the third ability, which lets them dash or disengage as a bonus action, and triples the jumping distance of the monk. And the good thing about Ki is that it replenishes on any rest, so a short rest or a long rest, much like the fighter abilities. So starting at 3rd level, both the classes gain access to their subclass features, which is pretty much something that makes no two fighters or no two monks the same, or no two of any class is the same. It adds for versatility, variability, and overall gives you more options for your character, of which, since there's so many of these, I'll be going over all the subclasses for each class in their own separate videos. Monks, however, also at this level gain deflect missiles, which allows them to reduce damage from a ranged weapon attack specifically that hits them using their reaction. So in combat, there's your action, bonus action, free action, and movement on your turn, and then once between your turns you have one reaction, which pretty much lets you, if an enemy tries to run away from you, you can try to make an opportunity attack against them. For monks, if they try to hit you with a ranged weapon, you can deflect it, or you can do other sorts of things on reaction that you repair as an action. So if a monk is hit by a ranged weapon attack and they haven't used their reaction yet, they can reduce the damage by 1d10 plus their dexterity modifier plus their monk level. So at this level, the minimum that you'll be able to reduce it by is 7. So if somebody tries to hit you with an arrow and they deal 9 points of damage and you use your deflect missiles, you only take 2. And as a bonus, if you reduce the damage to 0, then you can send the weapon back as if you had proficiency with it. So if you get hit with that same arrow, but you reduce it by 10, the damage goes down to 0. You can spend a key point to throw it back at them with plus your proficiency bonus, plus your dexterity modifier, and if it hits, you get to do your basically your monk damage, or the damage of the weapon plus your dexterity modifier. Now at 4th level, both of these classes get the choice of increasing one ability score by 2, 2 ability scores by 1, or they can gain a feat if your DM allows the use of feats. This is called the ability score improvement, and as you can see, they should be mirrored on the screen right now. I increased the fighter strength by 2 and the monk strength dexterity by 2, and we'll pretty much just keep increasing the stats that they want to use until they hit the maximum of 20 and then move on to the next stat. At this level, monks also gain the slow fall feature, which allows them to reduce falling damage on reaction by 5 times their monk level. So at this level, they'll be reducing fall damage by 20. Just automatically. So if typically falling damage takes place after 10 feet of falling, and it's 1d6 per 10 feet. So if you fall 30 feet, you'll be taking 3d6 of damage. And at most, 3d6 is 18. So a monk can fall 30 feet on reaction and take no damage. So at level 5, both fighters and monks gain access to the extra attack feature, allowing them to make a second attack on their action. So if they let's say a fighter uses their second wind, they can attack 4 times per turn. They can attack 4 times for that turn, and a monk can attack 4 times per turn as long as they're using a key point and flurry of blows. Monks also gain access to the stunning strike feature, which forces the enemy to make a constitution saving throw, which is equal to 10 plus your proficiency bonus plus their wisdom score. And if they fail, they are stunned until the end of the monk's next turn. When you're stunned, you can't take actions or reactions, you automatically fail your dexterity and strength saving throws, and all attacks against you have advantage until you're not stunned anymore. This costs 1 key per attack that the monk uses, so at most at this level you can spend 5 key, 1 key to do flurry of blows, and the other 4 to try and stun your opponent, which will use up all of your ki, but if they have to pass the saving throw 4 times in order to not be stunned. And also, for the monk, your martial arts die increases to a d6 for your unarmed attacks. At this level, fighters get another ability score improvement, and as you can see on the screen, I bumped up their strength to the maximum of 20, so now they have a +5 damage modifier, and a +5 to hit on their attacks, plus the proficiency, plus whatever you roll on d20. And for the monks, they don't get an ability score improvement, but they get a feature from their subclass and key empowered strikes, which makes their unarmed attacks magical in order to get through resistances. So a barbarian, when they're raging, they have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. A 6th level monk basically says you don't have resistance against my attacks because they're magical. At 7th level, fighters get a feature from their subclass, which again we'll go over in another video. And monks get Evasion and Stillness of Mind. Evasion allows a monk to take half damage on a failed dexterity saving throw, or no damage on a passed dexterity saving throw. So if a wizard casts Fireball at you, and you don't pass the save, you still take half damage, which is really good. Stillness of Mind allows a monk to spend an action to end an effect of fear or charm that is afflicting them. Fear makes you spend your action basically running away from whatever you're scared of, and charm means you treat a creature friendly, but you can just use your action to end the effects, which gives you time to maybe not end up in a fear curse that some creatures can do, or just basically not pretty much keep your state of mind and not be forced to do what the enemy wants you. At 8th level, the only thing both these classes get is another ability score improvement, but as you can see, fighters are going to be getting a lot more of these than basically any other class. So I decided to increase the fighter Constitution and Wisdom, so that they have a better chance at passing both of these kinds of saves. Whereas for the monk, I was finally able to max out their dexterity, which basically helps to cap off their damage and get closer to capping off their armor class. At level 9, fighters gain the use of Indomitable, which allows them to reroll a failed saving throw once per rest. They can do this again. They get another extra use at 13th level and 17th level, which pretty much at 13th level means they get 2 uses of Indomitable, and at 17th they get 3 uses of Indomitable. So if you somehow fail a strength saving throw, you can reroll to pass it. If you fail a Constitution, you can roll to pass it, or any of the other saving throws. Monks get their improvement to their movement speed, which allows them to run over walls and across the water. At level 10, fighters get another feature from their subclass, and monks gain Purity of Body at this level, which makes them immune to poison and disease, which includes poison damage or any damage you would take from a disease. So green dragons beware, because their breath weapon is poison, and at level 10, monks are immune to their breath weapon. At 11th level, fighters gain another attack, which gives them 3 attacks per action, 6 attacks if they use their action surge, and 7 if they're using 2-weapon fighting. And monks gain another feature from their subclass at this level, and their martial arts die increases to a d8. At 12th level, both classes get another ability score improvement. As you can see for the fighter, I increased their Constitution, which something I forgot to mention earlier is that if your Constitution modifier goes up, then your health also goes up retroactively. So the fighter at this level should be getting plus 12 health, and they should also be getting a higher bonus for their Constitution saving throws. For the monk, I increased their Wisdom and their Strength, since both were odd numbers, I can do that. And this increases the monk's armor class to a maximum of 18 at this level, and helps them with their Strength saving throws. At level 13, fighters get their second use of Indomitable, and monks get Tongue of Sun and Moon, which allows them to understand any spoken language, and anybody can understand what the monk says. It's sort of like a universal translator. So at level 14, fighters get another ability score improvement. As you can see, I went ahead and capped off the Constitution. So now the fighter is going to be getting the most bonuses to their health and their Constitution saving throws. Monks get Diamond Soul, which gives them proficiency in all saving throws, and allows them to reroll a failed save for a key point. So monks are now proficient in Constitution saving throws like fighters. It's harder to banish them with, I think, Charisma saving throws, and they're easier to pass like Charmed and Feared saving throws because their Wisdom saving throws are now proficient as well. At 15th level, fighters gain another feature from their subclass, and monks get the Timeless Body feature, which makes them immune to being aged magically, and they don't need to eat or drink anymore. They can still die of old age, as the character will age naturally, but any sort of spells that forces them to age any quicker has no effect on them. So at the 16th level, both classes gain another ability score improvement, which is the second to last one that we'll be getting. So for the fighter, I just went ahead and rounded off any odds numbered stats. You could increase their Wisdom by 2 to make it easier for them to pass their saves versus Frightening or Charming. You could increase their Dexterity by 2 to help them with their ranged weapon attacks, or if you're wearing leather armor, to help with your armor class. And for the monk, I went ahead and increased their Wisdom score by 2 in order to help them with their armor class and to help with any sort of saves that you might have to make against the monk, like against their Stunning Strike saving throw. At 17th level, fighters get a third use of Indomitable and the second use of their Action Surge, and monks gain another feature from their subclass, and their martial arts die increases to a D10 at this level. At 18th level, fighters get another feature from their subclass. I believe this is the last one they'll be getting. And monks gain the ability Empty Body. This allows the monk to turn themselves invisible for a minute and gives them resistances to all damage except for force damage. And it costs 4 key points to do. It also allows the monk to cast Astral Projection for 8 key points and no material or components that they really need. But they can only cast it on themselves, as opposed to where the spell allows you to cast it on, I believe, up to 8 creatures. Level 19 is going to be the last ability score improvement that both of these classes get. For Fighter, I went ahead and increased their Dexterity by 2, just to sort of help with any Dexterity saving throws or any ranged attacks that they want to make. And for the Monk, I finally was able to cap off their Wisdom score, which maxes out their armor class at 20, and also maxes out the saving throws that the enemies need to pass for any of their abilities, including Stunning Strike. Level 20 is the capstone that all classes get if you manage to stick it out and get level 20 in a specific class. For fighters, this is an extra attack, so now on their turn they can make 4 attacks, and if they use Action Surge, they can make 8 attacks, and if they have 2 weapon fighting, they can make 9. And the monk gets 4 key points at the start of battle if they don't have any when entering the fight. Both of these capstones are kind of lackluster when you compare them with other capstones, which we'll get to later. But for the classes, they are still wonderful, especially for Fighter, which increases their damage output, and for Monk, which allows them to not be completely useless if they've used up all their key points. I mean, they still wouldn't be completely useless, it's just they can have more options in combat. As for my final thoughts, it really goes down to how you want to play with these characters. Fighters are really good for getting in, doing attacks, and taking hits and things like that, whereas monks are really good for damage control, damage mitigation. They can also dish out some hits, they can dodge, they can get out, they can do a lot of things that fighters can't do, but that's because they have less hit points to work with. Unless you forego one of your abilities for improvements and get the tough feat, which gives you 2 more health per level that you have and level that you gain. Fighters are going to have more health. In terms of subclasses, I think the fighter subclasses are more consistently good, and you can go from any fighter subclass and roll up another fighter and use a different subclass and you'll still be a wonderful character, whereas some monk classes are lackluster and some are just really good. Anyways, that should conclude the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and I hope you come back to the monastery. Till next time.